After a summer of major announcements and a mixed bag of streaming over last weekend, the real question that I have leading into the NFPL season is the league on the rise? We saw a lot of healthy growth from the league over the summer, including multiple announcements, some of them better kept secrets than others, which I've already poked fun at for another video, but wanted to share some of the things that are going on in a league that I know very well living in the backyard, a very accessible league based on streaming capabilities to watch most of the games. And I also wanted to cover some ups and downs of what to expect going into this league and maybe even have a couple of hot takes on the season ahead. Before I go into the real meat and potatoes about this video, I wanted to share an opportunity for you guys to participate together with the rest of the Futsal News community and join in with our first ever NFPL Predictions League. I do not have a graphic for this yet, otherwise I'd put something really fancy right about here. But until then, I wanted to at least get some people interested in predicting the winners from each men's game this season to win a potentially valuable prize at the end of the season. If you're interested in this, be sure to click the links in the video description below to join our Discord, message me on Twitter, or even do it old school and send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to connect with you and make sure you get involved in the game. The NFPL is a league that was formed in 2018 with 7 charter members. It expanded to 10 in 2019, but unfortunately, after COVID hit, teams, including my very own Akron Vulcans that I wear often on these videos, never made it back after that unfortunate pandemic. In 2021, there was a short-sighted tournament to fill the void for futsal in our lives in lieu of a full season based on similar pandemic issues that were still lingering, as everyone knows very well how that impacted the country and the sports world as a whole. But last year, we saw our first full season back, and now going into this year, we again see some changes coming to the league, and we will cover those now with you guys. Some monumental, some minor, but all worth talking about as we head into a big week of action. First things first, the very awesome and exciting announcement that a women's league would be coming to the United States via NFPL. They announced that 4 of their charter members would be having a league together for the first ever inaugural season. It begins this weekend as 2 NFPL charter clubs, Michigan Futsal Factory based out of Ann Arbor and Grand Rapids Olay, face each other for the first time in regular season action. You can see some results from the summer as there was an exhibition tournament that actually represented all of the women from this league in a summer tournament in replace of what is typically a men's tournament for the summer. So very exciting stuff. And as I said jokingly earlier, one of the worst kept secrets of an announcement, but I understand why there is so much hype coming from the league office on this, as it is the first thing of its kind that I am aware of. And I think that it's going to lead to great things in the future for the women's game, especially in a time when there is a lot of attention around elevating what the women have as far as opportunities in our sport. Another announcement that on the surface may have you thinking like this.
Nice. Nice. Not thrilling, but nice.
The Rising Stars Contest, a league for high schoolers. On the surface for me, this was great addition and potential growth for the league as it backfills its men's teams. But it wasn't until today when I read an article from Futsal Focus, one of the biggest news sources for futsal in our community, when they interviewed Drew Ducker, commissioner of the league, and it was revealed that this Rising Stars Contest actually has quite a bit of meat on the bones as far as content for its competitors. So what we see from the Rising Star Contest is actually 3 events, 2 of which are going to be contests amongst all 4 teams. The 4 teams involved being from Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor at Michigan Futsal Factory, Futsal Indy in Indianapolis, and Columbus Futsal in Columbus, Ohio. These teams will compete in a tournament style for the weekend, and then on the 3rd meeting, it'll be more of an ID camp style for these players, and they will also get some integration from the outdoor game and also be able to interact with some ex-players in the game, some coaches and recruiters from universities in this country to give them an idea of what they're looking for them to take their game to the next level and continue their career in futsal or soccer. Once I heard that today, I got a little more excited about that league, but it is probably something that will get very little coverage as it is more developmental But it is good to know that it's something that is going on within the league to build our next generation of futsal players. And quite frankly, aligns with some of the efforts from the U.S. men's national team that are going on at the same time. I want to very briefly take some hot takes on the league going into this year. Some may be hot takes, some might not. And I am going to call out some examples, not to trash the teams of the league, because this is a league that I really enjoy to watch and I really think will be successful in future years, but because I want to use it as an example for where things are compared to where they can be or will be here in the near future. Let's start with the downs because I want to leave you guys on the upside as I really believe in this league. First things first, the teams that are involved. This is a pro and a con. I will touch on it in the ups as well, but there is one specific thing that weighed on my mind all summer, and that is the inclusion of Cadence SFC. Cadence is a team that started late last season. The rest of the teams were almost halfway through the season before they even played a game. They did not travel well. They would only have 1 or 2 subs at best. It was a very young team. Looked like mostly high schoolers sometimes that were involved in these games. And I find that is a problem. I think it's unsafe for the children that are playing at this high school level to be playing with grown men. And, there's a certain point in development where they're just not going to be able to keep up. College kids is one thing, but to be seeing some kids that look like they were still in high school traveling on a Sunday night to go play somewhere else without any subs and getting hurt in some cases. I don't believe that Cadence takes the league seriously enough to continue to participate and build a professional view for the league if someone were to tune it into one of their streams or into another team's stream and see them playing. Another reason I feel this way is because they totally skipped out on their last game of the year as well as the playoff structure, completely throwing things off so they could go play in a children's tournament in Texas. Again, I don't understand that concept. If you're going to pay a league fee and be involved, why would you skip half the year? It makes no sense to me at all. Now this year, it does look like their schedule is fairly normal. Maybe they have decided to focus on this league and actually invest in it a little bit the way that everyone else sees. So hopefully this turns into an upside by the end of the season and we can review how much better the year was for them here in the spring. One of the other things I wanted to cover is the handling of news in the league. You may be frustrated following the NFPL sometimes because some of the news that comes out is a little bit choppy. I've joked several times about the women's league announcement. I would have expected there to be a lot of fanfare and a formal announcement, but I noticed that some of the teams involved were actually making announcements before the league. Things were teased constantly about this league coming out, but really not advertised or announced in a formal way. And then the actual summer tournament that the women participated in really wasn't advertised. So, of course, we knew it was coming, but I would have liked to see a nice big announcement, give these women a chance to really have a media fanfare day, share it on their social medias, and be able to announce it as a whole. And I think it would have had a lot more meaning. I also do not think that that will take away from this season. It is hardly a blemish for these girls as they are going to take on the world by storm and start to build the professional futsal scene for women in the United States. The last thing I wanted to cover was streaming. I know for a fact that streaming has improved from my time watching the NFPL back in 2019 to today. Back when I first started watching the league, it was hard to find games, with the exception of some teams streaming their games on either YouTube, Facebook, or on third-party channels. There really wasn't much, and it was hard to find. Now, as of last year, all the teams, with the exception of Cadence, seem to be consistently streaming, although the quality was all over the place based on being in new facilities, maybe not understanding technology. This year, I'm very excited to see how that improves. I think it'll very quickly go from a down to an up because Luke here on the channel is actually helping the teams try and create a uniform streaming platform on YouTube through the league's channel, as well as through their own channels if they would prefer, and get it all to multiple platforms so that more and more people can watch the league. Where I see this still as a down is because some teams are still not taking advantage of Luke's volunteered hours to get them up to the next level. Over this last weekend, we saw Jenga and Columbus play in their home opener in a rivalry game. And although there were some technical difficulties in the first half that did affect the stream quality that Luke was producing, he was able to find a correction in the halftime break and make a very high quality stream in the second half that had a very nice viewing of individuals watching the game. On the other hand, another team that was offered the same services in Joy Athletic Club did not take advantage of that, and it showed. We had two options for that game. We were able to watch it on a cell phone from the stands, which included people picking their feet and what felt like being on a roller coaster while watching the game from all the bouncing around because there was no stand to stabilize the video. And then all the side conversations going on in the crowd that you were overhearing was a little bit distracting. I couldn't watch more than 30 seconds of it at a time and ended up just giving up. And the second option, unfortunately, was a Futsal Indie stream on Twitch that the camera actually went down and all we saw were feet in the second half. There was also no audio. There was no one chatting in that stream, as there were very few people that could watch it in the first place. And then going back to the Joy stream, there was no chat at all to be able to participate in 11 sports. So there's really zero fan interaction. I really hope that teams take advantage of what the volunteers in this league are trying to elevate as they bring more passion to the sport and more resources to the sport. And I believe that will be an upside by the end of the year. Speaking of upsides, let's get right down to it. Luke has done a great job creating a platform for streaming, and I think that we're going to be able to see a lot more people be entertained by the sport because it'll be much more easier to view. It'll be easier to find. It'll be easier to enjoy. There will be commentators in most cases. It's just going to be a lot more interaction for the fan, and I think that that really fits in with today's world and today's sports fan. Another thing that I see as a really big upside is the progress of the league. Not only the streaming, but a little bit more professionalism overall across all the teams is a real big improvement. And I think that you have to look professional to want to be professional. Let's be real. This league is a semi-pro league. If we want to get to the professional level, we have to act like it. Dress for the job you want. I feel the same way about how we perform as a community with this league and its presentation to fans that maybe have not seen it yet. The other thing I want to talk about is the new leagues as an upside. I love to see the infrastructure in this country continue to grow and seeing the NFPL take on so much to try and make it that way. I also hope that means there'll be more staff coming to the NFPL, which will only strengthen their position as a league. And I also hope that these teams flourish and see additions of more teams from their success going into future seasons. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about is the fan base itself. I love how much of the fan base that grew since last season watching that stream of Jenga and Columbus. It's the largest viewing I've seen other than a championship game of any regular season game, and I'm confident that that will continue as the league continues to grow in future years. So if you guys haven't figured it out by now, this is a league that I'm very passionate about. I certainly speak my mind when I see things that could be better. I certainly give them praise when they're doing things well, which I think they deserve right now. And I cannot wait to share this league with you guys here for the 2022-2023 season. I hope to see you guys in the chat as I will be roaming around watching these games every weekend. Don't forget to say hello. And until I see you then, play with your soul.